Chapter 4: The Vital Principle. Organic and Inorganic Beings. Kardec wrote, "Organic beings are those which have in themselves a source of activity that produces the phenomena of life. They are born, grow, reproduce their own species, and die. They are provided with organs specially adapted to the accomplishment of the different acts of their life, to the satisfaction of their needs, and to their preservation. They include men, animals, and plants. Inorganic beings are those which possess neither vitality nor the power of spontaneous movement, and are formed by the mere aggregation of matter, as minerals, water, air, etc. Question 60. Is the force which unites the elements of matter in organic and inorganic bodies the same? And the answer, yes, the law of attraction is the same for all. Question 61. Is there any difference between matter of organic and inorganic bodies? And the answer, the matter of both classes of bodies is the same, but in organic bodies it is animalized. Question 62. What is the cause of the animalization of matter? The answer, its union with the vital principle. Question 63. Does the vital principle reside in a special agent, or is it only a property of organized matter? In other words, is it an effect or a cause? And the answer, it is both. Life is an effect produced by the action of an agent upon matter. This agent without matter is not life, just as matter cannot become alive without this agent. It gives life to all beings that absorb and assimilate it. Question 64. We have seen that spirit and matter are two constituent elements of the universe. Does the vital principle constitute a third element? The answer, it is undoubtedly one of the elements necessary to the constitution of the universe, but it has its source in a special modification of the universal matter, modified to that end. For you, it is an elementary body, like oxygen or hydrogen, which nevertheless are not primitive elements. For all the bodies known to you, though appearing to you to be simple, are modifications of the primal fluid. Follow-up question. This statement seems to imply that vitality is not due to a distinct primitive agent, but is a special property of the universal matter, resulting from certain modifications of the latter. The answer, your conclusion, is a natural consequence of what we have stated. Question 65. Does the vital principle reside in any one of the bodies known to us? The answer, it has its source in the universal fluid. It is what you call the magnetic fluid or the electric fluid animalized. It is the intermediary, the link between spirit and matter. Question 66. Is the vital principle the same for all organic beings? The answer, yes, but modified according to species. It is that principle which gives them the power of originating movement and activity and distinguishes them from inert matter, for the movement of matter is not spontaneous. Matter is moved. It does not originate movement. Question 67. Is vitality a permanent attribute of the vital principle, or is vitality only developed by the play of the organs in which it is manifested? The answer, it is only developed in connection with a body. Have we not said that this agent, without matter, is not life? The union of the two is necessary to the production of life. Follow-up question. Would it be correct to say that vitality is latent when the vital agent is not united with a body? The answer, yes, that is the case. Kardec writes, the totality of the organs of a body constitute a sort of mechanism which receives its impulsion from the active or vital principle that resides in them. The vital principle is the motive power of organized bodies, and while the vital principle gives impulsion to the organs in which it resides, The play of those organs develops and keeps up the activity of the vital principle somewhat as friction develops heat. Life and death. Question 68. What is the cause of the death of organic beings? And the answer, the exhaustion of their bodily organs. Follow-up question. Would it be correct to compare death to the cessation of movement in a machine that had got out of gear? And the answer, yes. When the machine gets out of order, its action ceases. When the body falls ill, life withdraws from it. Question 69. Why is death caused more certainly by a lesion of the heart than that by any other organ? And the answer, the heart is a life-making machine, but the heart is not the only organ of which the lesion causes death. It is only one of the wills essential to the working of the machine. Question 70. What becomes of the matter and the vital principle of organic beings after their death? And the answer, the inert matter is decomposed and served to form other bodies. The vital principle returns to the general mass of the universal fluid. Kardec writes, on the death of an organic being, the elements of which its body was composed undergo new combinations that form new beings. These, in their turn, draw the principle of life and activity from the universal source they absorb and assimilate it, and restore it again to that source when they cease to exist. The organs of organic beings are, so to say, impregnated with the vital fluid. This fluid gives to every part of an organized being the activity which brings its part into union after certain lesions and reestablishes functions that have been temporarily suspended. But when the elements essential to the play of the organism has been destroyed or too deeply injured, the vital principle is powerless to transmit to them the movement which constitutes life, and the being dies. The organs of a body necessarily react more or less powerfully upon one another. Their reciprocity of actions results from their harmony among themselves. When from any cause this harmony is destroyed, their functions cease just as a piece of machinery comes to a standstill when the essential portions of its mechanism gets out of order, or as a clock stops when its works are worn out by use, accidentally broken, so that the spring is no longer able to keep it going. We have an image of life and death still more exact in the electric battery. The battery, like all natural bodies, contains electricity in a latent state, but the electrical phenomena are only manifested when the fluid is set in motion by a special cause. When this movement is superinduced, the battery may be said to become alive, but when the cause of the electrical activity ceases, the phenomena cease to occur, and the battery relapses into a state of inertia. Organic bodies may thus be said to be a sort of electric battery, in which the movement of the fluid produces the phenomena of life, and in which the cessation of that movement produces death. The quantity of vital fluid present in organic beings is not the same all. It varies in the various species of living beings and is not constantly the same, either in the same individual or in the individuals of the same species. There are some which may be said to be saturated with it, and others in which it exists in very small proportions. Hence, certain species are endowed with a more active and a more tenacious life, resulting from the superabundance of the vital fluid present in their organism. The amount of vital fluid contained in any given organism may be exhausted and may thus become insufficient for the maintenance of life unless it be renewed by the absorption and assimilation of the substances in which that fluid resides. The vital fluid may be transmitted by one individual to another individual. An organization in which it exists more abundantly may impart it to another in which it is deficient, and may thus, in certain cases, rekindle the vital flame when on the point of being extinguished. Intelligence and instinct. Question 71. Is intelligence an attribute of the vital principle? And the answer is no, for the plants live and do not think. They have only organic life. Intelligence and matter are independent of one another. For a body may live without intelligence, but intelligence can only manifest itself by means of material organs. Animalized matter can only be rendered intelligent by its union with spirit. Kardec adds, intelligence is a faculty which is proper to certain classes of organic beings, and which gives to these the power to think, the will to act, the consciousness of their existence and individuality, and the means of establishing relations with the external world and providing for the needs of their special mode of existence. We may therefore distinguish, first, inanimate beings, form of matter alone, without life or intelligence, the bodies of the mineral world. Second, animated, non-thinking beings, formed of matter and endowed with vitality, but without intelligence. Third, animated and thinking beings, formed of matter, endowed with vitality, and possessed of an intelligent principle which gives them the faculty of thought. Question 72. What is the source of intelligence? And the answer, we have already told you, the universal intelligence. Follow-up question. Would it be correct to say that every intelligent being draws a portion of intelligence from the universal source and assimilates it as it draws and assimilates the principle of material life? The answer, such a comparison would be far from exact, for intelligence is a faculty that is proper to each being and constitutes its moral individuality. Besides, we have told you that there are things which man is unable to fathom, and this for the present is one of them. Question 73. Is instinct independent of intelligence? The answer, no, not precisely so, for it is a species of intelligence. Instinct is an unreasoning intelligence by means of which the lower orders of beings provide for their wants. Question 74. Is it possible to establish a line of demarcation between instinct and intelligence? That is to say, to define precisely where the one ends and the other begins? The answer, no, for they often blend into one another. But the actions which belong to instinct and those which belong to intelligence are easily distinguished. Question 75. Is it correct to say that the instinctive faculties diminish in proportion with the growth of the intellectual faculties? The answer, no, instinct always continues to exist, but man neglects it. Instinct, as well as reason, may lead us in the right direction. Its guidance almost always makes itself felt, and sometimes more surely than that of reason. It never goes astray. Follow-up question. Why is it that reason is not always an infallible guide? And the answer is, it would be infallible if it were not perverted by a false education, by pride, and by selfishness. Instinct does not reason. Reason leaves freedom to choice and gives man free will. Kardec adds, instinct is rudimentary intelligence, differing from intelligent properly, so called in this particular, vis-a-vis that its manifestations are most always spontaneous, whereas those of intelligence are the result of the combination and of deliberation. The manifestations of instinct vary according to the differences of species and of their needs. In beings that possess self-consciousness and the perception of things external to themselves, it is allied to intelligence, that is to say, to freedom of will and of action. For those interested in learning more about Spiritism, you can find the entire The Spirits book on PDF. look up Allan Kardec PDF on your favorite search engine. If you wish to explore more about the levels of heaven and the attributes of a spirit and the future of earth, I suggest you read my series of 3 books, starting with Heaven and Below, next Spirits and the Spirit Universe, and the 3rd book, How Spirits Guide Us. God bless.